What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Ready to Love. This is season 5, episode, I want to say 8 at this point. Basically, we are meeting these guys' ex-girlfriends, and yes, I know that I did miss reviewing the last episode, but don't worry, I'm going to add a few things in from last week because I don't understand how the guys who met the ladies' friends, these are not the same ladies that are meeting the ex-girlfriends. So I'm so confused, again, as to who is into who. Where are everyone's heads at? Because people who I thought were, into each other, clearly they're not. But let's jump right into it. So Tommy, he lets the guys know that, hey, it's time for you guys to really buckle down and let these ladies meet your ex-girlfriends, right? Of course, nobody wants to bring their ex, but that's a part of the process according to Ready to Love. So let's jump right into the first guy, and that is Cornelius. So Camille is going to meet his ex-girlfriend. I want to say her name was Tamika or Tanika, something like that. But either way, I will say that his ex-girlfriend, she was asking the right questions, especially regarding to Camille and her 3 engagements. Now, I will say that Camille, she gave some really great answers, but I also have a question of when was this, these engagements happening? Because I know that 3 engagements sound pretty crazy. It really does. But I wonder if she was, 1, engaged to her baby daddy. I don't know how old her son is. Maybe he's around 7 or 8. So that was like 7, 8 years ago. She may have been engaged right, around that college age, right after high school, sometime around there. And then another quick engagement. I'm just curious to know, when were these engagements, considering Camille is in her 40s, right? Isn't she 41, 42 years old? So I just want to know what the timeline is. Now, when it comes to Cornelius, though, I did want to point out the fact that I am just so surprised that he had all that tacky artwork of himself. Okay, you know what? It wasn't tacky. I don't want to say that. But I think it's just very vain of him to have all this artwork of himself in his home. But his house was really nice. One thing I wanted to mention about last week, when it came to Camille and Cornelius, I think he handled himself very well when he met with her friends, even though her friends were surprised she's on this whole celibacy thing with him. But like I said before, I feel like Camille is not attracted to the rest of these guys. So she is trying to get in where she fit in with Cornelius. And if he's saying that he's on this faith journey, then she's going to go ahead and be on a faith journey as well. Even how she mentioned that when she was talking to Tanika. One thing I did not like about last week was the fact that Cornelius was in the bottom. I personally do not think that Cornelius should have been in the bottom because he's not dating everybody. If the point of the show is Ready to Love, and Cornelius has zoned in on somebody, and he wants to focus on getting to know Camille, and Camille wants to focus on getting to know him, I don't feel like either one of them should go home when the whole purpose of the show is for, at the end, for them to say, hey, I want to walk away with you. Y'all get what I'm saying? I feel like so many people, I know that y'all don't like Camille. Camille gets on my nerves as well. And I've also noticed that some people are not feeling Cornelius. But if the premise of the show is for people to find love and to find a match, I do think that Camille and Cornelius should stay on the show. It doesn't make sense if you have 2 people who actually like each other and want to focus in on each other, but because they weren't dating around with everybody else and confusing the hell out of the audience, we're going to send them home. Because once we get to the end of the season, who's going to match up with who? Because honestly, this season, I have no idea. But let's just go ahead and move along. Oh, wait, actually, before I move, I'm seeing a lot of people say some pretty crazy things about the exes that these guys have. But let's be completely honest. We have no idea what the dating pool is around them, even though they're supposed to be from the DMV area. But I saw a lot of people say, oh, how is Cornelius dating Tanika or whatever. I can totally see Cornelius dating a woman like Tanika. That way, that woman may have a really great heart. Same thing with people were talking about Walter's ex. I can totally see Walter, being with her. She looked like she was young and fun and something for him to do. Literally. So let's just go ahead and move along. All right, so now we have Phil, his ex Sabrina, Shiloh, and Tasia. You guys, I did not expect Tasia to be there because I thought he was more interested in Aisha, but could be wrong. So when Tasia gets there, she has an issue because she's sitting so far from Phil. Now, I will say this. I completely understand what she's saying by that because at the end of the day, yes, this is a TV show, competition, blah, blah, blah. But Phil made no effort to make sure she was good. Phil made no effort to even engage with Tasia because he was too busy snuggled up with Shiloh over there. Now, do I think that, would I look at them as people who I think should match up? To me, Tasia looks good with Phil versus Shiloh to me. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. But anyways, Sabrina, she's coming out with the questions. And of course, because Tasia is already irritated, I feel like she was trying to keep her cool. But she was definitely irritated within that entire situation. But it kind of makes me wonder, how long did she know that Phil was meeting Shiloh's friends and Aisha's friends in between the time that they've had this date? Y'all get what I'm saying? Because it seemed like none of the ladies at the table knew that Phil was going to go out with Shiloh, Tasia, and Aisha all last week to meet their friends. Therefore, like I've been saying, nobody knows who is in whose tops. Nobody knows who's going after who. Because I feel like, honestly, she was blindsided. And I know, for being the type of person that I am, I would not do good in this type of situation either. Because not only was he interested in one other woman, he's interested in two other women. Then, when I'm here to meet your ex-girlfriend, you had to bring one of them along. I personally do not like the fact that we do this whole, if I'm interested in two people, I'm going to bring both of them to meet my ex. I'm going to bring both of them to meet my friends. No, you need to let your friends or your ex meet these people individually, because I think that the setting is just a lot more relaxed to me. Because when we got to Frank and Moomin and Sydney, it was like they were one-upping each other, trying to give that man compliments because it's a competition. But anyways, Shiloh, I will say that, of course, she's so calm and collected. The only thing about Shiloh, you guys, I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about her. I have no idea what Shiloh likes, besides the fact that she's this intimacy coach. She likes all this sensuality shit, and that's all I got from her. I don't know if Shiloh wants kids. I don't know if Shiloh has ever been through anything. I know nothing about Shiloh. I really don't. Can y'all let me know what's going on with her? Also, another thing, and the reason why I brought that up, that I thought that Tasia was better for Phil, because Aisha don't want no more kids, right? That's done. Shiloh, we have no idea if she wants kids or not. And Tasia is saying, yes, I want to have children. I'm so confused why the men this season are BSing around. Same thing with the women. All of them are BSing around. They are dating people who do not align with what they want. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and move along from there. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the next date, because it is Frank. He meets up with his ex, Leah, I believe that was her name. I can believe that that's his ex for sure. I'm just going to leave that there. Sydney and Moomin. He invites both of these ladies out. Now, I absolutely understand the connection that he had with Sydney. They knew each other before in passing, blah, blah, blah. I was surprised to see Moomin there, y'all. Because I'm like, well, isn't this interesting? Because Moomin, you damn sure didn't bring him to meet your friend. You ended up bringing Dante out of nowhere. Because we only saw y'all play a little putt-putt golf one time and he met your friend. But you know what? Whatever. In this situation, I thought it would be the ex asking more questions. However, Sydney had her a nice little Rolodex of questions. And I must say, it was definitely sounding real TikTok. Put a finger down if you're the first person to apologize. Put a finger down. That's the only thing I kept hearing in my head while she was asking her questions. So, Sydney, she's asking questions. And yes, she was sitting across from Frank. But of course, her being the touchy-feely person that she is, she made sure to go over there and wipe down his sweaty face. While Moomin, she sat right next to him. Now, I know that a lot of people probably feel like that's something that Tasia should have done. You know, make room for herself over there with Phil. But, like I said, I see how she could be aggravated looking like the third wheel because him and Shiloh already have a vibe going on over there. Now, in this situation, I feel like Frank was more so involved in the conversation just by the types of questions that were being asked. Because not only was Shiloh asking questions about Leah, she was also asking questions about Frank. Versus with Phil's ex, she was solely asking about each woman, if that makes sense. Now, like I said earlier, those two ladies were basically competing on feeding all the compliments to to Frank, as if he was like the greatest thing ever. And I'm just like, y'all doing all this for Frank? For Frank? Okay. Like, I'm sorry, there's something about Frank. I just feel like he just always knows the right things to say to swoon the ladies. That's what I think. But also, I'm just kind of like, so can we officially say that him and Aisha have fizzled out? Because, hell, we didn't see Aisha this whole episode. So, is her and Frank no longer a thing? That's my question. Now, as for the two ladies that were there, though, I think that Frank needs to go ahead and go along with Sydney. I feel like they are on the same wavelength. Now, when it comes to Moomin, I'm sorry, I don't see it for her and Frank. First of all, like he said earlier, he's a hypersexual. He wants to have sex, clearly. And if you're on this path of not having sex, sweetheart, don't even play around with him. Do not play around with him, because he's definitely going to try to get the draws for sure. Now, let's go ahead and move on, because this encounter, I feel like, had a lot of people talking, and I don't understand why. And that is Walter and his ex, Denise. He met up with Sabrina and Moomin. I don't understand why so many people were surprised by Denise being his ex. I could totally see this. First of all, Denise is hella younger than Walter's ass. So definitely she was like some little young thing that he probably found at some club. Because y'all know, Walter, he looked like he's still trying to go to the club. I'm sorry. And something that he probably just swooped up one night. They probably slept together and they just kept going. I'm sorry, like, that is how I see this. Like, I understand that Walter has this image on TV, but I feel like outside of this TV show, I would not be surprised if a lot of his exes look like that one. I would not be surprised. Because at the end of the day, we are watching a show where producers handpicked beautiful women to be on a show. And we're looking at him check out a pool of women that are absolutely beautiful, or whatever. I'm using air quotes, to everyone's eye. Now, don't get me wrong. Denise was very pretty to me. But I guess we weren't expecting her to have the long nails and the hoop earrings and, look like an around-the-way girl. But, like I said, that's not the image of the girls that were selected to be on the show. So, of course, it doesn't seem like he would like that type of woman. Because you have Sabrina, she's the opposite. Moomin is the opposite of that. Hell, actually, we wouldn't even know if that's really what those women are like, because everyone's putting on an image because they're on TV. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, like, his ex was low-key giving, like, what was her name? Vernisha vibes. Like, hella chill, hella, around the way type girl. She seemed like she was really cool. So when she first met Sabrina, though, I feel like because she was ambushed, I don't think she knew she was meeting, Walter's ex. That's maybe why, she had that type of attitude. But I did not like when Sabrina was like, oh, well, if there's anything that I need to, know about Walter, then I will ask Walter. I said, you gonna ask lion-ass Walter? Really, girl? You don't think that man will lie to you? Are you crazy? Because I definitely believe that he will. One other thing that I want to bring up about Sabrina. Y'all already know I wasn't feeling Sabrina for a while. Now, when it comes to what she did last week, that was some complete BS. Because you basically set Sean up to go home. That's exactly what she did. There was no negative things that she said about Walter before he got there. She never mentioned to her friends, well, Walter wants children and I don't. She never mentioned that. However, when it came to Sean, what she said was, oh, well, basically he told me that he doesn't want to break my heart unintentionally. No, girl. He said that he wants to be sure in knowing that he wants children and the woman that he wants to be with wants children as well. She never told him the back end of the story. And I have a problem with that because her friends had an issue with him right when he got there. And there was nothing that was going to change their mind about him being an okay guy. Now, I'm not trying to, cape for Sean at all, Mr. One Bill or Two. I'm just saying, in that situation, her friends already had an issue with him. Point blank and period. But by the way, Sean, it was time for him to go anyways because nobody was really interested in him. And let's be honest, he wasn't even attractive. Now let's just go ahead and move on because once Moomin got there, Sabrina was definitely over it. And like I've been saying, nobody knows who's interested in who. Hell, I don't think that Sabrina really knew that Moomin was even, I guess you would say a threat to her. But baby girl had to dip on out. So Moomin gets there, she's answering questions. And I feel like Walter definitely tipped off his ex-girlfriend to ask about the whole sex thing. Because she randomly asked that question. And Moomin is like, I want to, have sex when I get married, blah, 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 blah. Again, Walter's in the confessional talking about some 50 Shades of Light Skin. Listen, ladies, stop wasting your time on these men who are not aligned with you. Moomin, the only person who you should have even tried to talk to be honest with you, would probably be Cornelius. Because he seems to be the only guy that plans on waiting for marriage. Just throwing that out there. Why are we wasting our time with this? Considering Walter, he's trying to bang somebody's body out. Literally. Alright, now let's go ahead and move on because we have Dante, Shiloh, and Zadia. Now, Shiloh, she was pretty much threatening Zadia because baby girl needed a whole nother drink because she was not expecting for Shiloh to be there. So, what's funny to me is basically her and Cecilia were in the same position to where they did not know this other woman was going to be there, who also happened to be Shiloh. And clearly, Zadia would have rather met the ex on her own, not with Shiloh there. Now, the only thing that I got out of this situation was that Zadia was trying to figure out if this man had any downfalls, while Shiloh was trying to be, super positive, so zen Shiloh. Now, the ex did say that, yes, she would date Dante, because of who he is today. However, here's my question. How is he with his kids? How much time does he spend with his kids? Are his kids a top priority for him? Like, in real life. Not him saying, I'm a good dad, even though I only see him once a month. Like, I'm just curious. Do his, children live in a different state? I have those types of questions just because, this man has children. However, we don't get to meet a baby mama. I think we should have met a baby mama. I'm sorry. We should have met a woman that he has children with so that we can see how he is with his children. Because I'm sorry, as a woman, I cannot date a man who I know has children and that nigga be MIA from them kids, but he's sitting and smiling in my fucking face all day. I'm sorry. I cannot be with a man who I know for sure has children and he got so much time for me and no time for them. That's just where I stand with that. But let me go ahead and move along. All right, so the last person that met up with somebody, that would be Naeem and Zadia. They ended up meeting up with his ex, Victoria. And I do find it funny that Naeem had this whole story about how he liked this natural woman and all this other bullshit that he was saying. However, his ex was wearing weave and makeup. And clearly, that's what Zadia wears. So, I just feel like flag on the play, this nigga be lying. So, when it comes to his ex, though, listen. I did kind of laugh when she was like, yeah, he don't like to cuddle or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I do like to cuddle. And she's like, oh, so I guess you didn't want to cuddle with me? I don't know why I thought that was so funny. And I guess it's because I'm like, clearly these two were exes for real. And this must have been a recent ex. Because I don't think that she was like an ex from like high school like some of these other guys brought on. I definitely think that she was an ex from like the past 3 years. Just saying. That's what it seemed like to me. I will say that I think that, Zadia vibed very well with Naeem in that moment. And I think that she needs to go ahead and make the choice on Naeem. Because he's clearly focused in on her. So she should just go ahead and ride it out with him instead of having her list of 2-3 people, as Aisha liked to call it. Ooh, let me go ahead and talk about this other date that randomly happened this episode that I gave the alternate side eye to. And that would be Phil and Sydney. Now, if we go back to the previous week, Sydney mentioned how... No, I'm sorry, let me not even start with Sydney. The ladies were talking about how we need to start shrinking, right? We need to start shrinking our number 2s, 3s, and 4s. No. Who do y'all really want to see yourself with, right? Now, Sydney had chimed in and said, well, I'm new, and the guys are, just now starting to get to know me. And trifling ass Sabrina was like, okay. As in like, okay, bitch, nobody care about what the fuck you got to say. And, Zadia laughed at that. Now, my thing is, I don't understand why Sydney caught an attitude with Zadia and not Sabrina. Because I feel like Zadia was just laughing at the response that Sabrina gave. But anyways, I definitely think that we need to go ahead and shrink some numbers. Not just the women, though. The men, for sure. Because we have Phil, right now, going on a date with Sydney. Why are we going on a date with Sydney, Phil? You already have 3 other options. And I understand this whole concept of date around. But, dude, you already have 3 other options. You have Aisha. You have Shiloh. You have Tasia. Why are you adding Sydney to the roster? Why? It doesn't even make sense at this point. We're already halfway through the process. Why? Just go ahead and let Frank have her at this point. So they have this little workout date or whatever. She's being her typical flirty self. We still don't know shit about Phil. And that's going to be that. So let's go ahead and get to the gentleman's lounge. All right, so as we know, these guys that go around say, who they had a good time with on these dates. That's cute or whatever. Here's the thing that got me. The fact that Walter says that out of respect for Cornelius, he's not going to throw Camille into the mix. Even though Cornelius threw Sabrina into the mix, knowing that that was one of Walter's connections. I'm assuming that he did so because Walter has 2 options and not just one. So when it comes to who's on the chopping block, we have Sabrina and we also have Tasia. And I'm just like, okay, well, let's see how this is going to go. I'm actually glad that Phil was the person to meet up with Tasia. Just because you're dating her, so it makes sense for you to be the person to let her know what's up. What I found interesting was the conversation that Frank and Sabrina had. First of all, baby girl showed up already because she knows that she doesn't typically date Frank, first of all. And secondly, at this point, everybody knows where they're going into an elimination round. So she basically like lets him have it and is like, listen, these guys are not reaching out to me, all this stuff. I'm not about to be putting in all this effort when no one's putting in the same amount of work. Now, I completely understand that, but here's the thing, girl. None of these guys have actually put in effort on this season. I'm sorry. Not a one guy, to me, has really been putting in effort to do anything that's extra special for the ladies. Hell, the only person who's done something, like, nice was Corey. Like, he would, like, bring the ladies flowers or whatever. So, as we already know, Tasia went home. I don't think her match was there. Do I think that Phil should have kept her around? Yeah, because I feel like they were more of a match, but that's just my own opinion. Another thing that I wanted to mention was the fact that I know that everybody wants Camille to go home. But at this point, I just feel like where we are standing in the show, we have already met the friends. We have already met the exes at this point. Yeah, I do think that Camille should probably stick around, her and Cornelius, because we got to be at the end of the season. Like, literally, there should only be like 2 to 3 more episodes left. And technically, they are a couple that is still standing, if that makes sense. But let me go ahead and jump off of here because I definitely need to review the next episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye, guys.